Good morning, folks, from the west coast of United States of America. Um, Today, this session you will be covering cloud supply chain planning strategy and roadmap. And thank you for watching this session. I am Vikash Goyal. I'm responsible for product strategy, product direction for supply chain planning, collaboration, visibility areas within supply chain management product development team. So I'm going to start with a cloud supply chain planning strategy. We have consistently followed this strategy for over 8 years now since we released first set of supply chain planning cloud applications. They were brand new, while we certainly used our IP from 2 decades worth of experience before that on our on-premise world, but these are brand new applications. Already matured over thousands of customers in supply chain management cloud now. So the strategy that we have followed for supply chain planning is one is to continue to innovate, uh, keep pace with the business, the functional needs of supply chain planning, functional needs of our customers, but stay ahead of the technological needs of tomorrow for supply chain planning, and do it in a way that you are able to consume it easily. Secondly, flexible paths. So not everything can be absorbed or implemented at the same time. So you have paths that we can help figure out for you, but flexible paths to digital supply chain. And then once you have our supply chain management cloud, including supply chain planning, transform end-to-end visibility, network response, and finally, supply chain planning are decision-making tools, so specific strategy on how we empower planners and decision makers. So I'll take you through these points one by one, and then I'll switch to recent enhancements and roadmap. Easy to consume innovation. Not only we keep adding deep capability, industry capabilities, which are connected not just within themselves in a unified supply chain planning platform, but also to rest of supply chain management suite. So when we started, demand management, sensing, shaping, predicting demand, forecasting, but we added almost like a full product replenishment planning, demand driven replenishment planning and segmentation. In terms of supply planning, MRP, constraint based, closed loop execution, we sort of added two full products: backlog management, production scheduling, sales and operations planning, aggregate capacity planning, scenario planning, supply chain collaboration, not just demand and supply collaboration, vendor managed inventory and contract manufacturing collaboration were added. So we these are the four SKUs, and we don't intend to proliferate anymore. So the advantage and why we say easy to consume, not only we deliver large capabilities every quarter, but when they arrive, you do not have to do anything else. So replenishment planning was released 2 years ago. People had demand management; it shows up in their pod environment. Nothing else is needed for that. So not just the innovation, but both technology and functional innovation shows up in your environment for customers who already have these skills. Second strategy, flexible path to digital supply chain. So for supply chain planning, uh, is sometimes is the uh, starting point of your journey to the cloud supply chain management and ERP. And we certainly are open to integrate with the external systems, and supply chain planning systems often have to consume external data as well and automate processes across that, so that all is supported. So we support three modes. One, when you have complete transformation, entire ERP, SCM, including supply chain planning, moves to the cloud. Second is when supply chain planning is the starting point, and you still have other functions, procurement, manufacturing, order management, and so on your existing e-business suite, JD Edwards, or other ERP systems. And we do support integration to EBS and have customers who are integrated to all ERPs, not just JD Edwards and NetSuite, which are Oracle install base, but also SAP, Infor, Glovia, you name it. We have connected to all ERPs. And finally, this is a key part is that once you both in the functional sense as well as a division. So one division of a company moves to cloud, but other divisions remain ERP and remains on premise, and we can plan across those hybrid systems, as well as we can plan when one function, for example, procurement on the cloud and manufacturing remains on premise. So we can, all of these hybrid systems we can implement. Finally, if you most of our customers do either start with overall supply chain management suite or get to there, and that is our key strategy to not just enable integrations. It is end-to-end process management, and we do that in supply chain management cloud, and that is where actually you can transform end-to-end visibility and have your network response across multiple tiers. So in we take start with digital signals, your asset health, real-time monitor and predict those. Once if there is any issues, then supply chain planning can plan around those. Supply chain execution connects to through collaboration and visibility to your all external systems, and analytics and deep learning in the middle. Now, as I said, supply chain planning is a decision-making tools. There are four areas that are key to be able to make decisions, better decisions, faster. Supply chain visibility, meaning the decision data. So whether the data is available, it is complete, how fast is available. Supply chain planning provides end-to-end supply chain model, be able to configure themselves, and ability to assimilate disparate demand and supply data. Second aspect of decision making is that how quick is that? Longer batch run processes are no longer that relevant, so be able to do it quickly, interactively. Be able to segment supply chain, which is plan a subset of your supply chain differently. After all, it's not just one supply chain. You may have different planning paradigms, different strategies for your different channels, for example, regions, divisions, so on and so forth. And do it dynamically as the business conditions change. The planning algorithms get accordingly applied. Planners often have to make aggregate and detailed decisions, and we support all of those cases. Um, Third aspect of decision making is alignment. Just doing a decision in silo does not help. So aligned horizontally through your multiple tiers and vertically through your organization, from strategic planning to financial planning down to supply chain planning and execution. Demand driven inventory and fulfillment policies. So as your circumstance and demand changes, then be able to adjust in a rule based way your inventory and fulfillment policies to align to that demand. And as I said, multi tier collaboration helps you do horizontal alignment to your multiple tiers of suppliers and customers. So decision alignment is key. And then the fourth is decision execution. Not only improve the quality of your decision making so that you have to adjust less once you execute, but be able to execute in an automated fashion. And for that, supply chain planning provides predictive business insights and be able to understand the problems earlier and be able to guide our users to be able to solve their problems, and then prescribe actions to be able to suggest a resolution, and then automatically execute in the strategic and tactical decision. As a part of this decision making, it's important to have, and we do have a built-in machine learning and intelligence, not just analytics and dashboards, which we have. In terms of built-in machine learning, there are two areas that are supported. One, embedded supply chain planning, which is included in supply chain planning, but also on the right side, connected SCM data science. Many times, machine learning prediction is applicable to many functional areas in supply chain. So, for example, the first one, if a production machine goes down or predicted to go down, then supply chain planning, of course, need to plan as to an alternative course of action, but at some you have to probably raise a automatic patient a maintenance work order, or inform the manufacturing supervisor that that machine is predicted to go down. So many of those things across supply chain are connected, and that is what we call connected SCM data science. And indeed, supply chain planning is able to look at some of those disruptions and plan around that. So in terms of what is embedded in supply chain planning, and we keep adding more and more to this. The idea here being is that it is we while we do support overall data science platform, the idea here is that it is made for user. They can use that and control that as a part of their supply chain planning processes. So, in terms of demand sensing, regime change, which is long-term change, as we saw during a recent pandemic, time when things change from one channel to the next channel, demand shock, something suddenly happened, outliers, volatility, intermittence, and causal correlation change cumulatively, which is not the sum of all changes, but cumulative indication of causal change. Predictive forecasting, navigation model, cross validation learning, other areas of machine learning there. Extreme gradient boost for new product and portfolio optimization, intelligent recommendations for demand at risk, various distributions, and so on. And we have released Planning Advisor recently, and I'm going to show you how does it uh, suggest a solution to some of the problems. So in this example, this is a machine treadmill being offered. So first and third were introduced a couple, last 2 years for commercial market. Number two and four for home gym market or personal market. Sales thinks that now it is time to introduce a higher end treadmill for a local for home market, and suggest a new product, a sales forecast, and some features that they are expecting that particular new high-end home gym equipment to have. So planning advisor is looking at that. It calculates a new product based on all the location and product features, predicts the forecast accuracy, what are the key attributes that are important, review a new product forecast, and be able to suggest the not just the new forecast, suggesting a different profile, a ramp of profile uh, than what the sales were hoping, but also suggesting that while some of the higher end features, Bluetooth speakers, HR monitors are important, but still the seasonality is continues to play the highest role, and accordingly the launch date and the profile is adjusted. So at this point in time, planners can either change that or just accept the recommendation as is. Similarly, on supply planning side, while demand at risk, one reason could be that a machine or a maintenance event is likely to happen. So again, planning advisor, you can look at the predictions that are coming from our intelligent IoT systems, which are predicting the status or the health of that equipment. So in this case, is predicting. 60% chance of failure in next 24 hours. So you can look at that event, and if the, based on the threshold, if planners want to address, then they can modify resource availability, drill down from here in context to the place where to modify resource availability. So these are just some quick examples. Now I'm going to cover some of the major recent enhancements that we have done. And these are some of the larger ones. We keep doing many of customer driven and usability enhancements for which you have log, ideas in our idea lab. So we keep covering those as well. Just some key things. We are looking at our development in terms of continue to deliver broader and deeper industry capabilities, but also ensuring that the plan results are explainable, and we provide a very simplified, not simple, simplified planning experience and a smarter way of decision making. Some of those I will cover, but I would not have time to cover everything. So, in terms of new planning capability, the first two I will cover: allocate supply hierarchically to do have two level allocation of supply to do in our backlog management solution, to do by region and channel or segments and regions. Two level of allocation of supply, be able to collaborate with customers and use their forecast and synchronize that to the demand consensus process. Very high volume order promising that we have already delivered. End item substitution, be able to substitute an item when the original item is recalled or short supply. Many enhancements to analytics, multi-tier supply constraints, whereby we already supported the ability multi-tier visibility, but now those constraints, supplier capacity and other constraints from multi-tier are automatically planned in our constraint-based planning. Auto-generate bill of resources. This is a flat bill of critical components and resources. Now we look at your bill of look at your bill of materials and automatically create this bill of resources to avoid any manual errors. End-to-end SCM process, SCM suite is important to us in terms of supporting processes. So we have made improvements in all of those areas which we supported: project-driven supply chain planning, maintenance requirements planning, process manufacturing planning, especially a lot on hold until when things have to wait until the product matures, and product life cycle planning integration to synchronize use updates and product life cycle stages, so that you understand in planning the differences between the product vitality in the initial stage versus maturity versus end of life stage. Technologically improvements, more REST services, offline analysis, better solutions, and support for our next generation OCI, autonomous database, which opens a lot of new possibilities for us going forward for supply chain planning. So starting with attribute-based planning, this is not just master data attributes, product attributes, or customer attributes, which of course we manage. This is about demand attributes and matching them to supply appropriately. So, for example, your customer has a sales order to say, I want supply to be in a specific country of origin, or with a certain RoHS compliance, or with certain attributes of size, speed, as in case of semiconductor companies. But any of those attributes, as I mentioned, process attributes, product attributes, or customer attributes, and be able to match supply to the desired demand. So this one not only is a, it's a ultimate extensibility tool. You can You can configure your planning process with that. How do you exactly want to match demand and supply? But also it reduces item proliferation. Many times, for example, for RoHS compliance, you have to introduce, duplicative SKUs, so that based on just difference in attributes, and have to manage those, so you can reduce item proliferation and enable a very differentiated planning process to fit your own needs. Inventory balancing, many of those, uh, in the past year we have added many capabilities from B2C companies, distribution orientation, for example, consumer goods, wholesale distributors, and other places where distribution is of importance. So one is the ability to rebalance inventory between stores or stocking locations, whereby rather than shipping from a warehouse or a distribution center, if the lead time so allows, and if there is access in one local inventory location, then you can ship from there, as is shown in this example. So rebalance locally. Um, Counter sales order support. Many distributors do sell, from their branches, counter sales, so to support, to appropriately consider demand, and not double count supply. Ability to have a natural time fence, so if there are upstream constraints, we don't keep creating replenishment orders. Also try to reduce excess and obsolete inventory by pooling in a DC location and its proximal ancillary warehouses into one, so that you can reduce excess inventories, and also in case of project driven supply chain, be able to recommend transfer of excess supplies from one project site to another project site. So all of these inventory local rebalancing helps reduce access and obsolete inventory. Going forward, we continue to focus on customer-driven and usability features, and in the same development buckets, some of the key capabilities that we plan is enhancements to our service parts planning, more enhancements to constraint planning, whereby you can, in areas, especially when you want to maximize your resources, and have no you know opportunity to increase the capacity in the short term or longer term, so then you have to push the orders out or kill them if you're not able to fill that. Replenishment planning enhancements for healthcare and distribution. Many of those are coming up. And then, as I said, now we have significant opportunities with our OCI and autonomous database to have microservices, and be able to connect those microservices much better in a composable fashion. So we can do you can do sort of a very modern paradigm of incremental planning, and this is what we also intend to uptake. Continue to add decision making, analytics, and machine learning to our supply chain planning. Continue to ensure that the end-to-end supply chain management process is improved, and also add some of sustainability related attributes, and plan for those. Uh, eh, be able to continue to improve working with external systems, and work on solutions with our partners. Quickly taking you through some of that thing that is coming up in a in next releases. Improve plan analysis. Supply planning cloud already provides a lot of guardrails and plan analysis to not only so that you understand the results of the algorithm, the plan outputs, but also be able to understand what is the guardrails within which you can impact. So giving you some guidance as to how to resolve a certain problem which so happens. So in that vein, we have added we have added key capabilities, or a new screen to be able to see how different date, dock date, start date, ship date, due dates were impacted by some of the lead time and calendar constraints, and show them on a Gantt, as well as give you the guardrails, the points as to beyond which you cannot move those specific orders. Other key capability coming up very shortly is the ability to navigate in context from supply chain planning to other systems. So both from tables and graphs, be able to link to other systems, both internal and external to cloud, and be able to open that screen so that you can have more detailed information, things that, for example, detailed purchase order or work order that are generally not required to be able to plan, but you still may need that information. So you can pull that up side by side and be able to look at that information and actually make changes if you're authorized to do so from a planning perspective and have been given access. We also have full support for planning cycle, and from that planning cycle also you can punch out to external systems, for example, connected to financial planning or other workforce planning systems, so that you can impact a more streamlined integrated business planning and execution process. We continue to enhance machine learning capabilities. So one of the one that our customers have uh, wanted for us to do, and we think it will be really helpful to be able to plan better, is to understand the actual lead times from historical perspective. So item supplier site level, to say where and not just one variation may not be sufficient, but significant variance over a time, variance from assumed lead times, and then suggest if the standard lead times that we use for planning should be changed. So that is true for purchasing lead time. Also want to do for transit lead times between two organizations. Service parts planning, we already support be able to replenish large number of part locations. So as a part of service parts, as people in that industry know, it is very common to have revisions of parts. So in this example, you have item A, which was revised to item B and item C, and they have bilateral relationship, meaning you can replace one with another, but it could be unilateral too. So in this case, we look at all of those revisions, combine their history of consumption at different locations, and try to aggregate, create new forecasts for the latest revision, but but consume the supply of the oldest revision first. So this whole idea of managing super session relationships and planning for that is something key to progress service parts planning, which is indeed we want to keep adding more capabilities going forward in our future. Um, Finally, to summarize, the connected supply chain planning to overall supply chain management, our product life cycle management for managing innovation and product life cycle planning, external information from data as a service cloud, a connected IBPX solution with enterprise performance management and sales marketing workforce planning, disruption response with our execution system and intelligent IoT systems, multi-enterprise execution with full B2B messaging and portal capabilities available as a part of our collaboration capabilities. Finally, thank you so much. And if you are attending this session live on CloudWorld, thank you for attending that. And please do attend this session there in person, listen to our customers. We have a great CloudWorld coming up for you. With that, I thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope I wish you a very healthy best of luck for you and yours for upcoming year. Thank you so much.